Hello, everyone. Welcome again to the Wormhole Manifest podcast. This episode's a little different than the previous ones, mainly because I'm going to have to come right out front and let everybody know that first of all, my sincerest apologies to all the listeners. But almost right away, when you start to listen to this episode, you will notice, and you may be able to tell, that I'm pretty intoxicated. I have slurred speech. I ramble on, which is something normally I do, but it's out there. So just bear with me on that. I was almost hesitant to even release this episode, but if it wasn't for the really good bits that I think are important, here it is. It's coming out. And plus, I need to be honest with everyone, and I feel like that's something that I strive to do always, and, let everyone know that this is a show that I am bearing it all. I'm being honest and open about things in my past, things that I'm not so proud of. Apologies for just my segments of this show. So thankfully, my special guest, Mario Mora, who's been on several times before, he pulls it back with humor, intelligence, and professionalism. I think I may make some good points here and there, but without Mario on this episode, this episode wouldn't have seen the light of day. But anyway, the good bits are thanks to him, and I thank you all so very much for bearing with me through my own personal learning, growth, and evolutionary journey. So please bear with me through my difficulties and listen to this episode for what Mario has to say, because it's insightful and intelligent and deeply intellectual. So ignore me if possible, and pay close attention to what he has to say and his stories, because it's really important, especially if you are a guy or a man or, have experienced toxic masculinity, because that is pretty much what the show is about, what this episode is about. So please listen, ignore my dumbass, focus on his stories, and my reactions and hesitation is what takes me aback. But I do come around to admitting my shortcomings here and there, and then Mario kind of pulls it back together, pulls me in a better direction, I think. There's a few moments in this where this episode kind of goes off track, but for the most part, there's some really good stuff in there. So please just hang in there, listen. I appreciate you all. I appreciate you taking the time to listen to the show and give any kind of feedback that you have, if you have in the past, or if you haven't yet. I definitely welcome it. I'm still learning. I'm still growing. I'm trying to be a better person every day, and it takes time. It definitely, to kind of deconstruct yourself and the things that you've learned in the past. So this is basically my disclaimer at the in this intro, and I wanted to go a little bit more. I even recorded a separate note video after recording this episode, to remind myself to throw in some kind of disclaimers about the effects of alcohol on the body and consciousness, embracing a more natural and healthy way of living. I talked a bit in my video, or my note video that I made to myself, and I was thinking about adding it to this, but I'm not going to do that. It's horrible quality, so I'll save you all from that. But yeah, in my notes to myself, I think I made a lot of good points to remember that alcohol or any substance is not bad. There's no such thing as good and bad. There's but there's being responsible. There's being using my motto is everything in moderation. So take that for what it is, or what you will. You can drink, you can have fun, you can use some different substances, either recreationally or for for spiritual learning or healing or whatever, or what have you. So everything's is okay. Everything's all good. This show just shows me that I still have a lot of work to do, personally. So yeah, bear with me. I appreciate you. Much love to you all. Drink responsibly, and don't overdo it, or try not to. And take care of yourselves. More importantly, the most important is taking care of yourself. So please do that, and please enjoy this episode of the Wormhole Manifest podcast. See you later. Hey everyone, welcome back to yet another wild and wacky episode of the Wormhole Manifest podcast. This is your host, Matt, Wormhole Matt, or Wormhole 42 if you tune into my live streams on Twitch. If you don't know what Twitch is, then you should explore that, because that's where gaming stuff happens, and that's where all those gamers are doing cool, fun stuff with gaming. But if you don't, that's okay. Anyway, we are here. I am Matt, and I'm here again, once again. And I say this with great enthusiasm. I'm here again, once again, with my friend, Mario the Artisan Rogue. And he has once again graced us with his presence, because every time we do an episode together, it seems to just, I don't know, it reaches out to the folks because of our honesty and how we interact, and it breaks the boundaries of our regular interactions and interviews with other guests. So welcome again, Mario. You are here on the Wormhole Manifest podcast.
Thanks so much, man. I appreciate it.
I'm sorry for making that seem too dramatic. But
no, there's no pressure. That felt great. I was like, man, I actually sound important. It's pretty rad.
You are important, man.
There was just a lot of gravitas in your voice when you were saying it, and I was like, you borderline got Shatner on me, though. You almost did. You almost got there. And I was like, oh no, that's a level I can't match.
No. Well, welcome again, man. Welcome once again. I mean, to all the viewers or listeners out there, Mario and I we spent a very long time getting up to this episode, because we were like speaking for hours on end.
Yeah.
Before I started even hitting record, and that's typical for us.
Yeah, that's par for the course. It's fun. Yeah. You know what? I always look at it like maybe that's kind of a warm up. Like
it is. Yeah.
It really is just getting in the vibe, getting in the feel.
It's like ultra warm up. But sometimes during that warm up, I'm thinking like, there's a bunch of people who would benefit off of the information that we are sharing during our warm up.
Yeah. Absolutely. Oh,
because like that's the thing. Like when you and I converse on just like a regular level,
mm-hmm.
it's very deep, mm-hmm. Like when we talk, it's like, it's not just like a random like you bump into someone at like Quick Trip or Casey's on the like weekend when you're going to grab a coffee, and you're like, "Oh, hey, what's up, man? Okay, well,
Yeah,
I'll
right,
go first." Like
right.
it's just that brief interaction, and you're like, "Hey, this is another person. That's okay. We're all here. We're just trying to get through our day, you
Yeah,
know." But when you and I converse, like from the very beginning, it's like through the wormhole we go.
yeah,
We're like
yeah.
we're like as soon as we connect, it like thrusts us through the ventures of the universe, and we're like every aspect of intellectual type of energy and information. It's like if there's something useful there, almost immediately, like we are like there in that
Yep.
connection, and it's like, oh shit, like it's
I,
very
yeah.
it's very rarely when you and I converse that it's just like, oh, what's up, dude? Uh, uh,
Well, and that
you
that
know,
you,
I don't know. Fuck, I don't know.
well,
What are
I
we?
think I was gonna say, I think that like the biggest thing that always gets me is like, even when I listen back to previous ones we've done, I'm like, we almost sound, and this is gonna sound, maybe this is a little egotistical to say this, we almost sound like archaeologists of culture, because we tend to hit different dynamics, different paradigms, and there are times whenever I'm like, wow, this conversation is going a little off that. No, no, it came back around. It saved itself. That's really cool. And and it's been one of the reasons why I enjoy when you invite me on, because there are times whenever I feel like, if whether I'm doing my own solo stuff or if I'm even on other things, the few times I've done them, I often feel fairly nonsensical, but you get it. You bring another viewpoint and a whole nother angle that I may not have thought about. But the best part is that your experiences and the knowledge base that you carry is unlike a lot of other people that I'll run across or talk to. And I can say that easily for at least the last decade, just because of your openness, because of the fact that you're willing to just stretch your mind to think further into things. And that for me rocks. It's freaking
Oh
awesome.
man,
So
that's awesome, man. I really appreciate
yeah, man.
you viewing it like that, because I mean, to me, it's just like when we connect, we connect.
Mm,
When we connect with people, and like you said, it's very rare to come across someone in out in the world where we're just like, because there has been a few times where I start like, kind of rambling through thoughts or theories or whatever it is that like jumps in my mind when someone inspires me. When
oh yeah.
when someone inspires me to like give them more information, you know, but sometimes in those occasions when they have inspired me, it was kind of like a false inspiration,
Oh yeah.
and they
Yeah.
were like, "Oh, well, I didn't really mean it like that."
Right.
Like
Right.
I don't
Right.
really know, like let's just that's cool you feel that way, but like okay, I'll see you later, and
Right.
they go about their way, and I'm left thinking like, well, it wasn't wasted.
Right.
They got kind of that angle that I was getting at, but like, but no, man. Like every time you and I have conversed, it's been so fulfilling.
Yeah.
Like no matter how like roundabout it is, like when you said like it's just like it comes back around, and
Mm-hmm.
that's exactly how I communicate in
Mm-hmm.
daily language with anybody I know. And me and my wife Rachel, we like talk about things, and sometimes that is a it's just it's the way that I think, the way that I
Mm-hmm.
think, and the way that I reply to things or respond to communication
Mm-hmm.
verbally. The verbal communication is where I feel I lack sometimes. The
Really?
verbal communications is where I because I will listen to someone speaking,
Mm-hmm.
and when they speak, I will hear and then translate what they said
Mm-hmm.
into what I think they mean, and it's not always right, you know.
Oh, I
And
see what you're saying. Okay.
it's very communication. And I will say this to all the people that listen to this episode: communication is a very, very important skill to learn
Mm-hmm.
throughout life. And it doesn't matter if you don't know other languages, because that's another thing I will get into later on in this episode, hopefully, if we come around to it. But the thing is like communication is very important, and there's so many different forms of it. There's
Mm-hmm.
so many different varying levels of it. Um, One of the things that I would like to discuss in this episode, and I know Mario, you can help me out with this, is the let's take it back a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go back. Um, in earlier forms of myself, and in earlier versions of myself in this world, there has been a level of communication that I have gone with that I thought was normal,
Mm-hmm.
and as most people will think is like a normal thing. You know, they're like, people learn to communicate through their upbringing, their surroundings, their peers, everyone around them that has taught them or shown them how the best way to communicate between the sexes, between
Mm-hmm.
like male, female, whatever. Um, and what I have learned throughout my years of existence on this planet is that there is a level of communication, and not just, it goes beyond communication. Um, there is a level of toxic communication, or not just toxic communication, but there's toxic male driven experiences or masculinity
Mm-hmm.
in our society today. And the thing that I learned was that I was driven, so driven to communicate with other people based on a lot of this toxic masculinity, or the, you know, being a male, that has, that I kind of learned how to, I learned wasn't really right. It was fucking
Mm-hmm.
fucked up, man. Like, it really was fucked up. Let's get
Yeah.
right to the bare nitty gritty of it.
Oh yeah.
It was messed up. Like, I myself had always, through from being a child to an adult, have admired women
Mm-hmm.
and females throughout my life, because there's so many great female or women characters that I have just been drawn to. The one I will mention right out was Motoko Kusanagi from the Ghost in the Shell series.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was like, oh my god, this character is amazing, and I admire her to the most infinity extent. Like, this character is amazing, even though, you know, whatever. But okay, God, I'm rambling.
No, you're good, man. You're good.
Mario, what do you think? Like, this conversation comes from, not just from me, but from my wife Rachel,
Mm-hmm.
who I've had a lot of conversations with, and I learn a lot about these types of things. And there's so much crazy shit on social media nowadays
Oh
about,
yeah.
like, you know, toxic masculine, or not just, not toxic. It's about masculinity, about alpha males. People need to be alpha males, and all this
Right.
stuff. You know, there's so many things going on social media. What's your viewpoint, man? Like,
So Uh, okay, so the term toxic masculinity, um, I think it is fitting for what it is. There is there is a paradigm in it that I've often noticed though over the years, um, because the one thing that term does, and rightfully so to a large degree, it is very much calling out, assessing, and identifying a particular strata of thought that is, egotistical, bigoted, selfish, withdrawn, insecure, and manifests particularly in these alpha males, these lone wolf types, however one wants to connotate them. I do realize though that often it's easier to put the blame solely on that individual, but to take a step back and understand that they are also still a product of a society that, for some reason, even as wrong as what they're doing, a certain section of society has allowed it to percolate, to grow, to literally spread. That could be media. That could be the unspoken word we never hear said behind closed walls at home. That could be endemic of friendships, a circle that they have socially. It could be anything like that. When that happens and we don't look at the root of the problem, because we absolutely should look at somebody, it's not hard to find them. You can go on Twitter, you can go on anything, and you will. I've encountered 3 today. All 3 I had to block after some really crazy shit. And it doesn't. The thing that gets me is where it's almost like I take it back to the idea of when I'm trying to find out when there's something wrong with me or an issue that I want to work through therapy. I am continually going back to what is the root of the problem. When I was younger, and I think I've spoken about this before, when I was
Yes.
probably in my teen years, between going to Catholic school, going not Catholic school, but going to Catholic church and having parents that were extremely anti-LGBT, because that wasn't the alphabet thing wasn't even that at that point. It was just anti-gay, right? That was a slur, that was a thing. And I grew up with an uncle that I knew he had a roommate. I knew it was a man. He never married. And I didn't really understand what had happened until one day I heard an extremely heated, I think I was 17 at the time. I heard an extremely heated argument where my father called him, I'm not going to say the word, but basically the F word for gays.
Wow.
And I mean, just, and hung up on him. And they never spoke again, you know?
Wow, man. Yeah.
Now, the crazy part about that is I remember the gaslighting at that point, like, well, he brought it on himself, and all of this crazy religious indoctrination created an aspect of my father that very much is mired in the ideology of toxic masculinity. On the most base level, I can look at it and go, well, my dad's an asshole. Okay. And I could do that. We could do that with any person that speaks out and says something in that moment. But
Yeah,
then
we could, but
right? And we do a disservice by not digging deeper and going, what's the real story here? You
yeah,
know?
dig deeper. Key words, dig
Yeah.
deeper.
Yeah. And so that's why I think that it's the problem is so deeply seated, and especially in if the conversation is to be held with today's society, we don't we don't look to see who we can trust. We look to see who we can differentiate and hate. It becomes more of a moral ground to stand and point at somebody and go, fuck you. I don't like that you wear a rainbow. I don't like that you're this. And granted, it's on, and this is going to sound very centrist, but I don't mean it this way. One extreme viewpoint often will beget an extreme defense, which in return creates another extreme viewpoint. And it's like the most fucked up version of tennis you'll ever witness. Because no one's trying, one person's trying to beat the other one, but we're both good at hurting each other, you know? But the problem is that diagram isn't just two extremes. That's too bipolar. That's black and white, and that really doesn't exist in this world. The world is a shade of gray all throughout.
Yeah.
So you might, and it manifests even like in people like, and this is true because I knew a woman a long time ago who had the most abusive thing I've ever seen happen in my life. You want to talk about a perfectly crazy example of toxic masculinity? Here's a story that happened when I was still a security guard in Lee Summit. There was this big party bus that showed up, and we didn't have a lot of security guards that night. It was a Thursday night, and we knew they were going to be showing up, and but it was unusually busy that night at Patio Quigley's. And I remember that everyone was in a fairly good mood, but like something happened upstairs. And on the dance floor, there was the front door, and then there was an area where there was a dance floor and a DJ. And then there was a side door over by where the soda dispenser was. And this woman came running up, and she was completely covered in blood. She's screaming, banging on the door. And one of the waitresses opened it, and she was like, "Would somebody help me? My husband," and somebody grabbed her and yanked her back from the door. Well, over the radio, I hear something crackle like there's an assault on the side. Somebody's getting assaulted. I run out the front door, leave the other guy there who's taking money, and I meet the other guy who just came around the back end, and we get outside, and we see a guy beating on a woman, and I'm talking viciously. We run after him, and he runs to the party bus, gets to the party bus, starts to go up, and we catch him. And I remember when we caught him, he kicked me in the chest. I'm still trying to pull on him, and then he threw something at the other guy that I had with me, and it was on. I'd never been in a fight on a stairwell on a bus before, but it was like the most vicious 3 to 4 minutes of self-defense and beating the shit out of this guy because he wasn't stopping. And we drag him out, and I'm screaming to one of the other guys that gets out here, "Call 911. We need the cops here now." When that happened, all hell broke loose, and evidently somebody in the parking lot said something, and people who had been on the party bus and other people are starting to come out just to see the fight, see what's going on. Sirens, everything else like that. Lee Summit police get there probably about 2 to 3 minutes later. I couldn't tell you because the entire time, me and the other guy are holding this guy down on the ground. He's screaming. He's just screaming all these other things. His wife is over by the door, and they're a ways from us, and she's standing with some waitresses and some other people. The cops show up, and by this time, as soon as the cops show up, I notice there's a couple of older people that are coming over. Going, "What's the problem? Why you got him on the ground?" Now I'm getting freaked out. I don't have enough security guys there. I need one guy at the door. He has to stay with the money. And I have 2 people downstairs at the lower bar. And I have one more dude upstairs to protect the DJ in the event something happens. So it's just me and this other dude, Mike. We're out there. And we've got other people that evidently were with this guy surrounding us going, let him up. I'm like, no, the cop's going to deal with it. And one guy was like, buddy, if you know what's good for you, you're going to let him up. And I was like, this isn't real. This can't be happening. So now I'm scared shitless. And later when I talked to my other security guard, he was like, yeah, no, I thought we were in for it. Like we were going to get this shit stomped out of us by like, a good 10 older guys. Because it turned out what it was some sort of class reunion thing. And they had decided to go to Patio Quigley's. Cops get there. This is why I say it can be fucked up dealing with toxic masculinity in ways that we do not always comprehend. They get the guy and multiple witnesses saw her bloodied. She's standing over there, broken nose laid across, stuck to her cheek. Okay. And they've toweled her off. They've given her a paper towel. She's holding her nose. And they get to talking and everything else like that. And they asked the question. I said, hey, this is what happened. We had a little bit of security footage showing her at the door, that sort of thing, but it didn't matter. And here's why. Because when everything was done and said, we get up and he's like, I'm going to sue this fucking place. I'm just, talking that angry kind of, you don't know who my dad is kind of bullshit. And we would hear it all the time. We're standing there and they go and talk to the lady and she comes over and she goes, no, officers, these 2 young men jumped me. I don't know what they were. I was like, wait, what? So she turned it around and said that me and the other security guard were the ones that had assaulted her. And when her husband tried to intercede and protect her, we beat the shit out of him on the bus. Dude, my blood turned to ice. I was like, I'm fucking going to jail. Like, I am terrified right now. And if it hadn't been for like the intercedence of like my boss and some other people at that time who came out there, it was the whole thing. So they finally, this is where it gets weird. We were out there for what seemed like an eternity. And by the time we finally got everything done, the bus was getting ready to leave and everything else like that. And the cops kept asking her, what did she want to do? And at some point, one of her friends came forward. And I was like so proud of her friend, but then her friend, I'll just explain it. Her friend came forward and said to the officer, sir, she's lying. He's an abusive husband. And so the woman with the broken fucking nose is like, no, that's not what happened. She's like, and she said, called her by her name. She's like, you know, fucking well, this is what happened. He does this to you all the time. Here's your chance. And she literally looks at the cops and she said, okay, I'm sorry. I was lying, but I don't want to press charges. He's not always like that. Sometimes he just gets a little drunk. He just gets a little weird. I shouldn't have been dancing with his friend on the dance floor. I mean, dude, she literally went from this brown kid and this white kid beat the shit out of me and my husband to it's my fault. Like every ounce of the way, every step of the fucking way, dude, she did everything she could to protect this dude. That is the aspect of toxic masculinity. He didn't really have to do anything. He didn't offend anyone. He assaulted his wife, but she, unfortunately, and that's the horrible part about the victimhood aspect of this, they couldn't do anything. They legally could do nothing. So they all got on the party bus and they left.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah. That
Okay.
dude, I have stories beyond belief like that.
Man, I am that whole story hit me so hard. Like and I'm glad, like I'm glad we got that.
Yeah, right?
Because like there, and I'm sure the thing is I'm sure there are so many beyond count stories like that out there for people that do not get recorded or acknowledged.
Oh yes.
And it's very it's so fucking sad, man. And I was, when I was listening to you, I muted my mic so that I could listen to you and get that on there. And I was like hearing it. And the whole time I was listening to every aspect of that story, I was thinking about like a multitude of stories I've heard from others in the past. And I know, and it just resonates so deeply in my soul that I know that it happens. And it's just like, I, I, I feel, I don't know how I feel, man. Like it's like you in that situation.
Yeah.
Like it's just, I don't know, man. Like it's very difficult to deal with because like it's so common. You know what I mean? It's so common, and there's so many times that these things happen to women and to people in today, and I don't know. Like it's just,
Well, you know, if anything, I mean, it fucks you up. I mean, there's no.
it does fuck me, man. It's fucked up and
Yeah.
altogether. Like why? I mean, but that's the reality. That's why I want to do this show. Like I want to do this show because I want to get this stuff out there, because like there are people, I know people that participate in these kinds of activities that will never listen to this show. They will never they will never understand and partake in like growing or evolving or realizing. And the thing is like your story takes me into myself, you know, and into the times where I have been toxic, you know, and as a man, you know, it's difficult to learn, you know, and grow.
It is.
It's very difficult to learn it and want to be better. Like, we can say that all day
Mm-hmm.
long, you know.
Right.
We can say it, and we can want to, and we can have the intention of learning and growing and wanting to be better. But if you just go on Twitter for like 5 minutes, you
Mm-hmm.
will and follow enough accounts of women who have been abused or have been in, toxic relationships or whatever, you
Mm-hmm.
will see it. It's so abundant
Oh
that
yeah.
that men are the problem,
Mm-hmm.
you know? Men are the problem because we are causing these issues. Because the men that don't see that they are causing the problem or being the problem are the ones that I fear for,
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, come on, dude,
Yeah.
you know? And I look back, okay, let's go back. Let's go back to locker room times, you know what I'm saying? Like, the young male, the young male is chilling out, like thinking, hey, I want to hook up with this one girl, like, 'cause
Right.
she's so cute and whatever. And so you like go into the locker room, and the other guys are like, hey, you like that one girl, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
You like her and whatever.
Yeah.
And they pressure you.
Yeah.
They're like, why don't you like do something? Why don't you try to hook up with her?
Yeah. Dude.
And it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, come on, like,
Yeah.
give me
Yeah.
something,
You know, the crazy part. Well, I can even take that one step further. Um, I actually went to I took my two nephews to they're real young. Okay, they're very young, and because their mother doesn't like it, I won't say their names on here. But I had taken them to a show,
Understandable.
right? And I had taken them to a show. This is a trip. It was an alpaca show here in Kansas City.
Alpacas are
Yeah,
awesome.
for fucking alpacas. And it was the last day of the show, so it was free. And we were walking around and everything, and we were back in the vendor area. And this it was innocuous, but it kind of goes in the same situation. There was a lady there that I noticed. She just, and I want to say this, my nephews are adorable. They are two very handsome little dudes. And I know this. And the common sense factor in me is like, yeah, you'll grow up to be handsome men. And that's it. I don't ever take it any further. But I remember that she just kind of said, oh my God, you're going to have your hands full with those two little heartbreakers. She was like, I bet they've got girlfriends and that sort of thing. And I thought, why do we do that? Why do, as a society, again, culling it back to the societal aspect, why is that appropriate at the exact fucking time we've got a political party freaking out saying drag queens are going to make them gay? Hold on. How is this any better? You have this vanilla ass sort of way of looking at, assigning a girlfriend to a first or fourth grader or whatever. And you ask these questions because they fit this dynamic of what this extremely errant view is of sexuality and gender. And you approximate it and place it upon them. Okay. And then on the other side, you have them
Place
going,
it upon
yeah,
them.
yeah, yeah. It's like stamped. You burn it in like a freaking cattle brand.
It's fucking
And it's one of the
crazy.
reasons why I often like I again and in which that paradigm plays right back into what essentially is the fuel of a lot of toxic masculinity, their insecurity, their fear, which I remember getting into an argument with one that I used to work with, a very toxic dude. And I will never forget, I'm like, dude, what is your real problem with trans people in general? And he's like, I don't want to fuck one and find out it has a dick. That whole comment needed a whole wing of the Smithsonian dedicated to it for how stupid it was. It was
Yeah.
it was seriously the stupidest. And I know I looked at him and I kept thinking, I'm about to have a fucking stroke because that was so stupid. And I thought, what?
That's on you, dude.
Right. I'm like, what the dude, if you are too dumb to realize, things or ask questions ahead of time, you don't deserve to even be around that person. Like,
Exactly. Yeah.
But that's the thing. There is no real thought process involved in that. It is literally handed down. It is indoctrinated. It is personified in this
Yeah. Yeah.
horrible caveat of thought where they're like, well, that's what my dad did, or that's what my bros do, and even toxic masculinity. If I can tell you another story real quick, um, there was a,
Yes,
there
please
was a
do.
time this same bar, no, different bar. This was a Shark Bar, Power and Light. One night I was doing the front door, and I remember there were these three like bromaster bros is what I called them, and they were huge. Okay, now I'm 5'10" on a good day. I'm not super tall. I'm a fairly average height guy. Um, but these dudes were easily 6-7 inches taller than me, and a good 100 pounds of muscle on each one of them, well above mine. Like just huge dudes. And I remember they came in and they're just like, oh, hey, but they were nice. They paid their cover. And I thought, surely this is going to be the fuck up tonight, right? It was, but not in the way I thought it was going to be, because they go in and after a while, like I noticed the really big guy, the guy that towered over me by a good 7-8 inches. And I am normally intimidated by anyone that this is something that just struck me. I'm like, your bicep is the same size as my fucking head. Anybody who lifts weights that much, that does that much shit, I have respect and fear of automatically. So he came back out and he was 3 sheets to the wind and high. And he admitted it. That's how I knew. Like when you're that pissed off drunk, like when you're admitting things, like, because he came out and he was like, okay, so like I have a lot of respect for you, man. And I'm like, oh God, here it comes. So it's that weird conversation you start hearing. And he's like, I just, dude, you don't answer to anyone, do you? And I'm like, what? He's like, no, I noticed you out here, man. And I'm like, oh God, where's this going? Because like for another bigger dude to be like, I noticed you out here, I didn't really know where that was going. But he was like, no, man, I'm serious. He was like, I just want to stand out here with you. Can I be a bouncer with you for a minute? And I was like, sure. And so he stands out there. And then after a while, one of his other bros comes out. And again, these are very nice guys. He comes out, dude, we got some ladies out there on the dance floor, man. They want to get down. He's like, bro, I'll be back. You got the door? I'm like, I have the door. I'm fine. And he goes, cool. All right. Yeah. He goes inside. And I'm like, you go, you muscled marionette. And then like maybe 5 minutes later, he comes back and he's even more inebriated. And now he's just slurring. And he's out there. He's like, let me check what do you call those things? I don't know how to spell ID. And I'm like, fuck. So now he's like, just he's like looking at IDs and shit. Nobody's looking at me anymore, right? Because I got man meat here next to me. I'm like, fuck it. Because I look like a monkey next to a dude, like just dancing to the goddamn little accordion shits. And like, so they call him back in again. It's like they keep losing Andre the Giant. Like, I'm like, how the fuck? Dude, everybody else in there is like 5 foot something compared to this guy. He goes back in. And sure as shit, later on toward the end of the evening, he comes back out. Now, I also want to put this in there. This guy was huge, and it seemed like every time he came back out, he had one less shirt on because he was down to his like, sleeveless shirt. And I'm like, what is happening in there? Like, what kind of striptease bullshit's happening in there, right? Like, I really thought it was fucking Magic Mike shit going on in there. He comes back out. By this time, he's like, he's like just banging his head on shit and everything. He's like, and I'm like, I don't know what you're saying. He's like, and then I looked at his eyes and he had been crying. So now it's emotional drunk. And that's the one that always gets me because I'm like, here we go. So now he's like, I just want to tell you, man, like you're the real deal, man. Like, I see you standing here, man. You got your arms crossed and stuff. I mean, Johnny, can I show you something? I was like, if he shows me his dick, I'm just gonna go home. I don't want to be here anymore, man. And like, dude, it got so fucking awkward because he's like, And he I don't know why he did this, but he made the motion of lifting his sleeve. I'm like, you already are in a little wife beater. Like, what are you doing? He like does it. So you see all this? He had like this gorgeous tattoo of dragons and of course a tribal thing, whatever. And like, and he's like, do you know what all this is? And I didn't know, right? You don't say shit to. I'm like, art? And he's like, this is peer pressure, man. And he starts breaking down next to me. And it was so bad, dude. I'm like, who the fuck peer pressured you? Like the entire time, I remember how close that bicep was. Like literally, when your tricep and your bicep tower over my fucking head, you're a big guy. At the very least, that's a giant arm. And I remember he just went on and like, it was like people are walking by, like, they don't want to look at me. They don't want, like, nobody likes to see that happen. And I'm thinking, you know what? I went to my Zen moment because that was the only place I could go because I couldn't get away from this guy. Because I couldn't leave the front door. And I thought, I'm going to let him just get this out. This is probably healthy for him. This is probably a good thing. And he was just like, everybody always tells me like I'm a big guy. They expect me to fight. They expect me to do this other shit. I hate MMA. I don't like it. People get hurt. What if you blow out a knee? You could never, like, he's just going down this whole rabbit hole, dude. And I'm like, I get it, man. I was like, but you seem like a smart guy. You seem like, you can do whatever you want in life, right? So, I mean, I would go back in there and I'd hang out with your friends, man. Like, just enjoy the rest of the night because we're going to be closing like 30 minutes and go in there. And he looks at me and he begins crying ugly again, like, but the kind where snot's now running out. And I'm like, please go away. And he grabs me. Now, if you've ever been grabbed by a large man, one of two things happen. You either scream a little bit or you piss yourself. And I'm not proud of this, but both of those things happened. And it wasn't much. It was just like, oh, faulty bladder kind of moment, like I'm about to die. But his armpit, his big old hairy armpit swallowed my head. And he held me in what I could only say was the most drunk, like Cobra Clutch kind of WWF hold I've ever seen in my life, and hugged me for the most uncomfortable 3 minutes of my fucking life, dude. And then he just went inside. And I remember seeing his giant silhouette walk into the bar. My whole head reeked of like Axe body spray and like weird desperate dance moves. It was really weird. Yeah.
Oh man, I really hope and feet. Oh God, my hope is that for that guy out there, he has come to some form of maybe internal kind of resolution that he can feel whole within himself.
Yeah, man.
Like it, I I really feel for him. I feel for him. I feel for you for having been in that situation, and I understand it. Like because like you're in there, and you are there being like this muscle bound guy is like opening up in a very and I think that happens a lot.
Oh yeah.
Without a lot of people accepting it or opening, or accepting that it happens.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of guys out there that have this internal masculinity that is like they have these issues that want to open up and they just don't know how.
Yeah.
They don't know how to open up. And so like in that brief moment when you were there as the bouncer at that club and he was there, he was like, this is the only guy that I know that it just whatever was going through his mind and that inebriated kind of sense of, whatever, he just kind of opened up.
Yeah.
And you were there. And I can kind of, I can tell, like, if it was me in that situation, if I was like the I was on a bunch of steroids and, and I walked up and I saw you in that moment, I'll
Yeah.
be like, this guy gets it.
Yeah.
He knows. I
Yeah.
got a lot of stuff going on inside, and I don't know how to deal with it because nobody ever taught me,
Yeah.
and that's the thing. It's like we don't teach young males
No,
how to deal with these things.
we don't.
We don't know. The emotional acceptance or emotional intelligence is not taught to young males ever.
Right.
It is not there. And there was an episode, or there was a recording, I will say that I did with my wife Rachel.
Mhm.
And I'm hoping to release that soon on our on Patreon, if I ever get that up and running. It's the whole thing is a mess, and
Oh, it can be overwhelming, man, but I know you can do it.
I have so much material to
Mhm.
release, actually, and I believe that this material will be helpful to whoever listens or whoever wants to listen. And it's there's a lot of stuff that I have learned in my most recent relationship with my wife Rachel, and it's just I have all this material that I need to edit, and yeah, let's crap, moving on. Okay, let's take a break
Yeah.
real quick, folks. We're gonna get back at this in just a few minutes. So everybody listening, hold on to your whatever you have next to you that is very comfy and fuzzy and nice to hold on to. And we'll be right back after these words of wisdom or whatever kind of break kind of method or advertisement I have recorded on there. I don't know. I don't even remember. So we'll be right back. Okay, thank you all for hanging in with us the last few seconds and that brief interruption, advertisement, whatever you heard just now. But let's get back into the beef of what we were talking about. I don't remember what that was, but Mario and I were here hanging out, and we were talking about some great stuff with the train derailments all
Oh
across the
yeah.
U.S. Oh my
Yeah.
God! Like, some people will say that train derailments across the U.S. have been crazy throughout
Mhm.
our time period for whatever known history we know. It's just a regular thing, trains go off the rails, there's accidents and whatever. Like, I haven't heard about this shit like
Mhm.
until recently. The thing I will mention is that recently the thing that happened in Ohio in the oh shit, I forgot what the name of this city was. It was
Yeah,
like
it just left my brain right now too. I was like, great. Should have pulled that up.
it was like
Sorry.
Israel or
Palestine.
Palestine. Yeah.
Palestine, Ohio. I
There
got
was
that logic.
which is crazy, man. It's
Yeah.
it's fucking crazy because the movie that came out not too long ago, like a year and a half ago, that had that incident in there in part of the
Oh
in part.
yeah.
Did you see that,
I'd
Mario? Did
heard.
you see the movie?
I did.
It had Adam
Yeah.
Driver, the guy that
Yeah.
played that Sith Lord guy, like he was
Yeah.
a dorky kid, but like come to realize he's actually a brilliant actor. Like
Yes. Yes.
fucking in the movie that I'm going okay, I'm gonna look it up because I have to call that out the Adam Driver was
Mm-hmm.
brilliant in this film, and about the train derailment
Mm-hmm.
in Ohio. But in the movie, it took place back in like the 80s or something.
Yes. Yes. I believe that's right. I haven't seen the movie yet, but I did hear about it and how it had a weird, odd correlation to the actual incident, which is bizarre.
Yeah, it was very, very like um related. Like
Yeah.
everybody was like calling out all kinds of conspiracies about the film being released at the time that it was, and
Yeah.
all that. And it was just like,
Yeah.
oh, I looked up this weird guy named Adam Devine, and he is not the
This is
guy
not
that I
Adam
was looking.
Driver. This is the Aldi brand version of Adam Driver. I don't know what I'm looking at here.
He's like this Kmart guy. It's like the goddamn Kmart Transformers. Kmart Transformers or not? They're like the GoBots or
Yeah.
something.
Like changeables. Yeah. No, I know. And it's really weird. I always have a hate love relationship with like conspiracy theory, things like that. I will admit they are a guilty pleasure. I enjoy hearing people go on about them, but I realize like how much damage they can actually do too. So, you know, it's always a mixed bag with that. But I did find that this instance to be kind of weird. Like I have yet to watch the movie, but if it has, any real comparative information or incidents,
Okay.
yeah.
The movie's name is White Noise.
Okay.
And that was the thing that threw me off at first, because I remember a movie called White Noise back in the like early 2000s that had um damn it, Michael Keaton, the earlier Batman. Michael Keaton is
Oh,
there was a movie called White Noise back then,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
he did,
yeah.
and it was all about like this weird like interdimensional, like you play like weird noises and you can bring things from other dimensions.
I do
But
remember that.
this movie that was made just like last year,
Hmm.
or earlier this year, and produced, but it was called White Noise. It had Adam Driver in it, and the the whole thing took place in the 80s when there was a train crash that had weird chemicals and all kinds of weird stuff that
Mm.
happened in Ohio, here in the Midwest. But the thing I will say is that Adam Driver, as the main protagonist, like the character in the film, like when I watched it, I was totally drawn in to his character with a bit of nostalgia for that time period,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
and I could feel him acting as if he was a person or a father, at least in the very little, um, or at the very most, actually, in that time period. He's trying to play this father role
Hmm.
in that time period,
Oh,
and
wow.
and and that drew me in more and more and more. And as fucked up as the movie was, because I will say that it was jacked up, like the whole stuff that was going on in it was
Yeah,
like just out there. I mean, it was a wild film, but like it really drew me in, and it made me like his character that much more, because he
yeah,
was able to portray
yeah,
himself as that character, or that character as himself.
yeah.
It's just it's interesting. But yeah, everyone should check out White Noise. That came out in like 2022 or something like
Yeah,
that.
I think it was last year. I seem to recall that. It was one of those pandemic productions. So, yeah,
Yeah,
I do
yeah.
remember that. Yeah.
Everybody else in the film, I will give credit to them too as well. They the the acting in that film was great. Like the filmography, especially with the portrayals and like the shopping, or in the grocery stores. There was
Really?
film. There was part. There was um there was a huge segment, I would say, that was in the grocery store where people started acting a certain way, and like they started, it was almost like a dance. It was almost
Oh, weird.
like a choreographed or choreographed
Yeah,
uh like dance, like in this whole like supermarket type thing, and it was amazing. Like
that's weird. That's wild.
I really was blown away by the whole thing. So I'll just leave it at that.
That's awesome. That is awesome. I I've always liked him, and Adam Driver's an amazing actor. I actually think that he managed to play, well, even to tap into what we initially started talking about, kind of a toxic, petulant wannabe boy king in the Star Wars trilogy.
Oh yeah, yeah,
His temper tantrums, like how much he hated the Millennium Falcon, Luke Skywalker, all of that. Like it's really nuts. Um,
yeah.
and
We should dig into that because
yeah,
like
yeah. I mean,
because why do we glorify characters like that? You know?
yeah. I mean, thankfully, I mean, and not to get too far into the discussion of that film, but thankfully, he's such a good actor that his performance is rife with with a character that, regardless of how wonky the scripts may have been, in my own opinion, if anyone watched that movie, those three movies, and they genuinely enjoyed them, I am happy for them. I will never trounce on anyone's happiness if they enjoyed it, because I know plenty of people that was their first exposure to Star Wars. But I did like the fact that he brought gravity, he brought pain and anger to a character, at least to the best of his capacity in there. And but it was still tethered in this idea of everybody I loved failed me, and I am now this. It's almost too easy to put the descriptive of monster on there, because I think that when you say something is a monster, you're dehumanizing it to a point.
Yeah, yeah,
Well,
yeah.
and I remember the reason I say that, and this is not a comparison to a Hitler, but I had a history teacher one time that corrected a young woman in my class. And she said, because we were talking about World War II, and we were talking about, the derangement of society at that point, the societal fall of Germany and the Third Reich and all these other things. And he went on to say that Hitler was many things, but at the most, at people will often describe him in some of the most terrible ways to remove ourselves from it as far as we can, to distance ourselves. And one woman said, well, I'm sorry, he was a monster. And he goes, no, that's exactly what I'm talking about. He was not a monster. He was a man. He was a man who was, at one point in time, was an artist. At one point in time, he was, somebody who wanted to raise Germany back up. And he clarified quickly, I am not defending him. I am not defending anything he did. I am saying that when we take, whether it's him, Pol Pot, Stalin, any one of these historical figures that did horrific things to people, and we dehumanize them to the point of saying that they were a
Yes.
monster, we are buffing ourselves and saying, no, that doesn't affect me. I could never be that. And then we forget the lesson, knowing that a normal person became this, you know?
Yeah. It becomes that matter of projection.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, we are projecting that. And when you take that ideal or that idealism of what we think or what we remember someone who has been in our history
Mm-hmm.
or throughout the past or whatever, we take that remembrance, that idealism, and we attach that to that entity, I
Mm-hmm.
guess, or whatever. And then it's like the same thing happens with like what I was talking about earlier, what we were talking about earlier with the toxic masculinity.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we and ourselves, we attach something of ourselves, like, and I will give full props to my wife who says constantly. Every time you point a finger at someone,
Mm-hmm.
there's 3 fingers pointing back at you.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So those people that claim that they're not toxic masculinity or
Mm-hmm.
masculine or alpha males or whatever the whole thing is,
Mm-hmm.
it's like they are essentially pointing those fingers back at themselves because they feel that sense of they're being attacked or whatever,
Yeah.
and they need to defend themselves instead of just embracing the idea that what I'm whatever they are presenting is like part of that, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So and it makes so much sense in a way to people like you and I who have embraced our
Mm-hmm.
whatever, but whenever we hear about it in the world, and it's like whenever you hear about all these different descriptions of things of like, on online or social media, like the people that are saying these guys don't get it, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
they just don't fucking get it. Like and and I look at it and I see daily that women have to put up with so much basically fucking bullshit from
Mm-hmm.
a lot of men out there. And it's like, what are these guys thinking? And a, a discussion that me and Rachel were having earlier was like, I was frustrated. I was like
Mm-hmm.
frustrated. I'm like, oh my God, like why what can I do, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm so frustrated internally because like what can I do to show these men out there in the world, besides you and I, like
Mm-hmm.
what can you and I, like what can we do to help, like what can we do? And there's really not a lot that we can do. Um
I think,
and it sucks, you know?
I tend to agree. And I think that's the unfortunate part is that in anything like that, to the first thing is open communication. If it's not there, it's you're just going to be standing there talking to. I would have a better chance communicating with the driftwood piece that I have out back than a lot of people who,
Yeah.
they're like, no, you don't get it, because they're already thinking of a comeback. They are not engrossed in the conversation. There is nothing happening. There is no two-way communication. If their next punitive
Right.
measure is just to say, well, fuck you, hippie, or something like that to me. Because I've had shit like that happen. I've been called out for all kinds of
Yeah,
things just
yeah.
because of that, and that's a measure of insecurity on their own part. The worst part is that even if you call that out, if you say, well, this is coming from a source of insecurity or anger or other things, that is all the kryptonite that so-called alpha males fear, you know
Mm,
but they
yeah.
also rely on something which is unfortunately actually with what you just said right now, a lot of things that are indoctrinated within the ideology of toxic masculinity is silence is a complicit nature. If I don't say anything, and I mean that, like, not going up and saying, dude, I'm going to kick your ass for being a bigot, not that will solve nothing. But if we do exactly like we're doing, if there are people that listen to this, if there are people that were like, oh shit, my dad or my uncle or my brother or me or whatever, I fit that narrative. And these two dudes are talking about this, like, holy shit, maybe I was an asshole to my wife. It gives you a moment of brevity. And not all of them are going to do that. But if you manage to change even one person's mind, if you manage to get somebody just to think for a second, then that's all I can do. And I know that because when I taught at Amethyst for a little while here in Kansas City, I believe that's the name of the halfway house for women. I went and did it on a volunteer charge. And dude, the moment I walked in, I was the last fucking thing any young lady in there wanted to see teaching art, right? They did not have a man in their lives. Their fathers were fucking gone. And it was me, my friend Jaime, who's an older gentleman that had worked at Hallmark, and then another lady that ran uh, a group that we both worked for her. Um, the three of us tried talking and teaching, and these girls, and I didn't blame them. They were wild, disrespectful, inattentive, angry, and I didn't blame them. They were a product of somebody who basically threw them and their mothers away. And I had to witness some hard shit, dude. I'm gonna like one thing, and this is a weird fucking thing to say. What I'm about to tell, I don't know if I've told you the story or not. So, for everyone out there listening, this is kind of where sometimes you don't even know what to think. And I remember one day, my friend Jaime wasn't there, but it was me and this other lady, Sarah. We had just gotten done teaching a little thing on how to draw an animated character. So I had brought some animation cells and showed them how to paint on one side, draw on the other, whatever. And there was a young lady there. The majority of the girls were either of African American descent or Hispanic, and there was one young lady that was white, and she was 13. And I don't mean this in a condescending or disgusting way. She did not look 13. I thought she was 16, 17 years old. And I only say that because of the way she carried herself, she looked, and all these other things. Now, all of that is regardless of what I'm about to say, because it was a very weird fucking reality check for me. Mind you, this was also the last class that I taught. We were done. So I don't know what else happened after this. We get done with the class, and most of the girls would walk to where their moms lived and that stuff. And there was some guy that pulled up, and it was like he literally pulled up, and I remember it was some sort of Camaro, but it had T-tops on it that were removed. And he got out, and the dude had literally the most glorious mullet I've ever seen in my fucking life. Like sidestepped, like, fucking bleached on top. And he literally looked like the stunt double for Kid Rock. And I didn't know how to process that shit. When I saw it, I was like, all right, whatever. We're just going to go with this. But I thought, well, who the fuck, why are you here? Right? Because he seriously gave that, all right kind of vibe. Like, you hang around Sonics in high schools, and I'm not comfortable with this because I know you're only fucking 10 years younger than me. But, so he comes up to the thing, and the girl leaves with him. Now, as we were standing there, I find out, that was her boyfriend. And she was 13, 14 years old. Now, and I have told the story to many women. Every single one of them was like, why didn't you say something? And I want to clarify something. This is not an excuse. I wanted to. Every fiber in my being was like, what the fuck am I watching here? Now, there's a woman that worked at that place who was like, hold on, I know. But here's the thing. Her mom knows. And he is the first positive role model that has been in either one of their lives. He's a recovering drug addict. He's a nice guy. We actually have no control over what happens in their private lives. We just provide a safe space for them to live out their lives and hopefully move on and find something else. And there's two facets in there. One side of me was like, fuck that. The other side was like, okay, I get it. So I had to eat crow, and I walked out, and I got to my truck, and the lady I was teaching with there, Sarah, came where she was like, am I wrong in thinking that was messed up? And I was like, I was very fucked up. And I rarely cussed in front of her, but I was like, no, that was weird. And she's like, I don't think I could do that. But I'm not in this young lady's place. I'm not in her mother's place. And dude, it was such a fucking weird position to be put in. I'm glad that I don't teach there anymore. For the time I did, I taught 8 classes and it was fine, but I wasn't prepared for any of that. And the entire circumstance really could be born from dudes that just didn't give a fuck, that wrecked a lot of shit on the way out of their marriage or their relationship with these women and their children.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm gonna. There is something I have to add to this,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm looking that up right now, because it resonates highly with everything you just said.
Sure.
Hold on, everybody, just bear with me. I'm trying to find some information because it is crucial to this exact information that Mario just said. Um, God damn it. I'm trying to find it right now.
Oh, that's cool. The really weird part is, man, like when that happened, I remembered I I even thought to myself, I was like, do I even ever talk about that? Right. Because I mean, I didn't drop any names of anyone, but I do remember thinking during that time, do I ever say anything about this circumstance or what I just saw? And the thing was, aside from this gentleman, this dude, this older man picking her up, there wasn't anything really aside from that. If it hadn't been for somebody saying, "Well, that's her boyfriend," I mean, my gut reaction would have been my gut reaction, but it was still nothing that there was just nothing I could do about it. It was just the weirdest thing. And I often think to myself, like, was that accidentally like a circumstance where I should have said something, but I was like, no, I. It's water under the bridge. That was quite a few years ago, but yeah, I definitely felt
Okay,
weird.
okay, okay. The thing that reminds me of this
Yes.
situation, and it's miraculous that you told this whole story about this girl and or about everything involved with it. But
Hmm.
there's the thing that is okay. Let me catch my because while you were telling us that story, and
Hmm.
it just resonated with me so much that it caused me to kind of feather back into my recesses of my mind, because there has been times in my past where I have met different people in my
Hmm.
past, and I won't say their names or whatever,
Hmm.
but like let's say there's characters, and I will attest that this happens way more often than we hope or wish. But
Oh yeah.
from people run away from their past at a very young age,
Hmm.
and people run away, and this is important. I think to point out in this episode that what you just said with that story, it's important to point out that at some point in people's young lives, they feel like they have no escape but yet to run
Hmm.
away from their past. And the thing that reminded me, and the thing that pointed out the connection, I guess, with what you were saying
Hmm.
was, and it's so weird to say that, like, I watched an anime, a series recently called Higehiro.
Hmm.
After being rejected, I shaved and took in a high school runaway.
Whoa.
Now, the series that I watched, I didn't know what to expect.
Sure.
I didn't know what to expect from this, but especially from the title,
Right.
because it can go anywhere. You know,
Oh
like
yeah.
if you think about that title, you know,
Yeah.
I after being rejected, like, how old is this guy that's being
Right.
rejected, and you're taking in a high school runaway?
Right.
There's a lot of things to implement or project into that kind of title. Well, I will say this, as someone who's watched the series and finished it,
Hmm.
we need more people to watch this kind of show.
Really?
And to watch and to look into ourselves and to think that there are people out there who have no clue what they're looking for or what they need and what kind of guidance they may need. But the thing, and it relates so strongly with what we were just talking about with toxic masculinity and all that. Like, the character in this show that I just watched, that I just talked about, like, he was drunk. He walked down a alleyway and met a high school runaway.
Oh, wow.
Like,
okay.
there's a lot of things that can happen if you think about that. If you put yourself in that situation. What he did, the main character in this story, is phenomenal. It is the most crucial into humanity as to what we should do and how we should take care of each other as humans that you can imagine. I read the title and I watched the anime and I started watching it after like 3 or 4 episodes. I was like, oh my God, where's this going? What is going to happen? You know, like, how can this turn out any better? But it turned out so well that I can't even describe it.
Really?
Because it's brilliant. It is realistic. It is realistic if people care about others.
Wow.
That is and it's solely based on like I got that idea from what you were saying about how people, it's just, I think we get lost, along the way.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I think humans and males, especially with the whole toxic thing and whatever, it's like you think, there's a young woman who is lost in her way,
Right.
So like, there's this whole like, I will say it, on this episode, that there's a whole white knight thing, the whole like, there's a lot of guys that like, oh, I will take you in and I will help you out if women are lost and they don't know what to do with themselves. I will take you in and help you along your way, and I've seen it. I've seen it, and it doesn't turn out how they want.
No.
It's purely fucked up and based on the white male savior, white knight kind of thing.
Oh yeah, I ad nauseum. I used to see things like that a lot, where the most well-meaning guy, and that's even the thing too. There's a Twitter account actually that I don't know if you follow them or not. Ask Aubrey. And
oh yeah, Aubrey,
phenomenal content. Oh, and not because of the aspect of what the content is. The content is horrific, but the fact that she's willing to call out so much of what happens, and just even reading what so many guys will say back. Some are supportive and some are horrible. But there was one guy that actually brought up a very fair point, and I remember because it got upvoted quite a bit, or not upvoted, but hearted. I keep getting into my Reddit speak. He made a comment that he said, the really screwball thing about this is that, not unlike anything else, there's plenty of really shitty dudes that are damn good at looking like an ally, at looking like somebody innocuously helpful, that will earn that trust and shatter it in a second to fuck somebody over. And that played out recently. Now, this one, I'm definitely not naming any names because this happened here in Kansas City. But there was a dude that for a long time was a phenomenal comic book illustrator, and he kind of like
What? Comic book illustrator?
Yeah, he was here in town for a long time. I think he was based out of Lawrence, and again, I know there's a good chance
Lawrence is a good time. Quick shout out.
it
That
is.
town is fucking awesome. I would move there in a second because
Right?
like they have like the everything, like the downtown area and
Oh
everything
yeah,
is just like so welcoming and just laid out. Anyway,
yeah,
anybody who listened to this, if you are in the area, like forget Kansas City
yeah.
and
Lawrence
all
is
this stuff,
far better.
check out Lawrence, Kansas, which is it's a few miles away from Kansas City to the west, but
Yeah.
check it out. Like it's where KU is, Kansas
Yes.
University,
Yes.
but like it's a small town and it has the livelihood of that. Like
Yeah.
I'm considering moving there myself, but anyway, like
Yeah, it's a rad place. It's got, it's got a great if you're into collectibles and stuff, it's got a great toy store there. The park, the center park, which is literally called South Park. The main
South Park.
Yeah, I've done art shows there, and that's actually pretty cool. It's got a phenomenal uh downtown area that has like all kinds of really cool niche stores that are about
Oh yeah.
gaming and stuff. And then the Phoenix Gallery is down there. Just top level class art place.
The music show I went there for like
Right?
several months back was just like
Yeah.
amazing. I don't remember what the name of the venue was, but like oh my god, like
Yeah.
I went in there and I was like one of the first people in there, and the artwork on the walls and stuff was just like
Yeah.
this like whole theater aspect, and it was just it it was very welcoming and just like they had this space theme to it. And I
Yeah.
was just like, oh my god, like
I
here I
think
am. It's awesome.
I think I know which venue you're talking about. I remember being in there, not for a show, but the thing that what's funny about that is a far cry from like when I went to shows when I was younger, and you're like, I just came in the door and I can smell the urinal. Like that kind of a feel, like just like all the way in the back of the room. You're like, oh, great, man. Rob Zombie better be fucking awesome because this is terrible. Oh
No,
man,
it was nothing like that. It was just like, yeah.
oh man. So okay, what was I saying prior? I just forgot where I was.
So the do 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 do. I want to give a quick shout out while
Do
we're
that,
thinking
yeah.
about this. My friend Lisa, who was on the last or a couple episodes ago, amazing guest who I had on there. She's a scientist, works with what's she? It's like damn it! Now I'm screwing everything up.
You're gonna have to do like I do. I keep notes whenever I'm recording things right in front of me. I'm like, well, oh, that's what that was. Yeah.
Yeah, I need to do that. Well, today was like just a fucking weird shit day. Like
Oh yeah, it can happen.
there was this dog that got out like from across the neighbors.
Yes, I saw you talking about that earlier.
I felt so bad,
Yeah,
like
dude.
because the dog was such a good boy,
He's a beautiful looking dog.
and like when you're in that moment, and I was like thinking like, okay, he'll be a good boy, he'll stay outside and just sit right there,
Yeah.
but no, they won't
No.
sit right there
No.
because he wants attention and he wants to do stuff and hang out with you. And I felt bad because he like wanted to come in because he liked me, and I was like, and I don't know, I was just second guessing myself. I'm like, he don't really like me. He just likes people. He just wants to be around somebody who's paying attention to me. He don't really like me.
Yeah.
He just
No.
likes people. He likes to be around someone. And I'm like, fuck. Like
Yep.
that's not even it at all. The dog is a dog, and he has his own being, and he wants to be around someone he connects with. And I'm like, fuck.
Yep.
You know, like, why did I just let him stay out there? You know, I should have just brought him in and have him hang out for a bit. You know, it wouldn't hurt anything. He would not have hurt anything.
Yeah.
Why did I let him go? I don't know. I felt bad. But the after I found out, he did get home. Finally.
Oh, good. That's what I was gonna say. So, did he make it home, or did Yeah,
he did get home. Like he went wandering around, and like I guess the owners, like I talked to him, my direct neighbor who's connected to me, and they were like, "Oh well, I'll go talk to them." And apparently, the Facebook post that was on there that my wife Rachel posted, and
yeah,
you know, she was like, "Hey, does anybody know about this?" And they were like, "Oh yeah, he made it home. He's okay." You know, and I was like, God damn it.
Yeah.
I went this whole day, you know? Like I had a bunch of shit going on. You know? I had like eBay sales that I was trying to like put tracking numbers on shipments that I sent out and all this other weird shit because eBay won't pay me unless they have a good record. You know, and it was like the first couple of sales I did, and so I have to wait till the fucking 20th to get my pay. And I was like, all this weird shit. And I've been running around all day, and I went out and drove around the whole neighborhood, and I was like, where's this dog at? You know, like I kept calling him in my mind. I was like, this dog's name is Buddy. I called him Buddy the first time I saw him, and I was like, Buddy has got to be out there somewhere. I'm like, where's Buddy? You know, I need to find this dog. And I was driving around. I was worried about him. I'm like worried about everything. And it's like the whole thing is I got back home and I'm like, I started to think, why? Why do I care so much about anything?
Yeah.
You know, like why?
Because it
started to resonate.
Yeah. You know? Right. Because you're human, man. I mean, like I think that when we have a connection to the internal humanity, you know, that goes beyond the physiology, our physical aspect. When you really look at it and you go, "Hey, I care because I'm human. I think, you know, these sort of things because I want to be a better person or whatever." There's a multitude of reasons why. You know, there've been plenty of times that I've gotten myself into circumstances where I'm like, if I had just been a bit more callous or I just didn't care, I wouldn't think about it. But, you know, hell, the cat that was up here sleeping next to me, like that was one. When I first found her, she was sleeping in a bush out in front of my house. And I was like, I can't take another cat. I have a cat that is like, you know, so antisocial. It's not even funny. But she had mange and she was just living in there. She had already been declawed by somebody, you know, and that was like 13, 14 years ago. And best, most loving cat I have ever owned. Like just, and I think about that. If I had been callous, if I hadn't made that difference, you know, in her life, because the inconvenience of trying to get cats to get along is nothing compared to thinking, what if a fox had gotten her? What if a car had hit her? What if she had just starved to death or been sick or something? So I think the same thing happens too. When,
you're right.
You know, when we're in those moments. I had a dude. I'd like to tell you this story. This is a weird one.
Man. Yeah.
I'm always full of fucking stories. So I always tell people like, if you
I love stories, man. Well, let's go.
I'm one of those dudes where like, man, if like you put the quarter in me, you got to let the whole song play because I'm just gonna keep on fucking going. But this is a real thing. Back when I used to work at oh god, I think I still worked at Power and Light at that time. Yeah, I did. This is pre-pandemic, so back when like Hy-Vee was still 24 hours and shit. I used to get off work late, and sometimes like if we hadn't made it to the grocery store or whatever, I'd gotten a little extra money or whatever, or maybe because people drop money all the time. And that night I remember distinctly that I was walking along, I'm like, is that a 5? And I found 2 50s stuck together. And I was like, holy shit, I just found $100. And I was really happy. So I went and I was like, I'm going to get some groceries. I'm going to do some other stuff. And there was this guy just hanging out in front of Hy-Vee. And I was like, ah, shit. And here's the thing. Nothing really struck me off. It's just, you see somebody just kind of chilling out. You're like, okay, are you fucked up? Are you just harassing people? What's going on? And I remember walking up to him and because he was right in front of the door. He's like, hey, yo, bro, hey man, I hate to be this way. I'm kind of a transient. I'm going through town. Um, I just, should you spare some money or anything else like that? I'm trying to stay back here because the Hy-Vee cameras are watching the parking lot and they've already told me to leave a couple times, but it's cold. And it was. I had like my Under Armour on and everything else like that. It was like cold as shit. And I was like, you know what? I got to pick up some groceries. Real talk, man. I'll come back and I'll give you what money I have left over. And that was it. And then when I got in there, I'm like, you know what? You would have only had like the normal $10 in cash and then the hours you would have worked. So you would have had only $10, but you found 100. So I walked around and I was like, fuck. So I went and I got a push cart and I filled it with a couple of different things. Like, I remember getting like, I think some juices or some other shit, basically a lot of non-perishable kind of survivable stuff. And I was like, I'm just going to do it. So I went ahead and I bought the dude like 50 or $60 worth of groceries, got myself about $35 worth. And then the change, I just went ahead and put in my hand and I dumped it in the bag. And when I walked outside, I was like, hold on a second, man. And so I went and dropped my thing off. And I could tell that he looked, his face kind of fell a little bit because I headed right toward my truck. I think he thought I was just leaving, like I was just blowing him off. And I came back with the bags and I was like, dude, I had some good fortune tonight. I just want to pass it on. And I handed him the bags and I said, and right as I was about to say there's some change in there, he grabbed my hand real quick. Now, I'm really weird about getting grabbed just from years of security. But dude, I couldn't have gotten out of his John Henry clasp if I wanted to. That was like the strongest fucking hand I've ever had on my wrist. But he just looked at me and he just was like, I'm just so hungry, man. Thank you. And it was like this weird moment that just kind of rolled over me. And he was just like man to man in that moment. He was like, I was like, dude, it's all good. And I remember patting his hand and how rough and weathered, he was clearly younger than me, but how rough and weathered his hand was. And when I patted, I was like, dude, it's all good, man. The rest of the change is in there. I hope you make it wherever you're going, um, I'd offer you a ride. And he's like, no, it's good, man. It's good. I got a place. I'm actually camped in the trees over here back behind Hy-Vee. So, but thank you, man. I appreciate it. And that was it. That was it. But that moment right there, kind of playing to what you were talking about why do we do things. I didn't do it like, like some fucking influencers are like, oh, let me videotape myself while I'm fucking handing somebody food. I only did it because I remember like when I was younger, like this is a weird moment, but it would call back to another really quick story. I used to work at Little Caesars and I didn't make a lot of money. I made like $400 every 2 weeks. And I remember a bunch of us were going to the movies and there was a young lady that was with us named Anna. And she came from a large fucking family. Her mom and dad were not great, but she had like 8 siblings, like a lot of them. And I remember we were all going to the movies that night, but I didn't catch it until we were standing in line. She was counting out quarters. And I think to get into the movies at that point in time, matinee showing was like maybe $2-3 or something. This is in Warrensburg. If you go south of town, there's a church building, and you'll notice on the side it has like these movie poster things. That's the old movie theater. And we were standing outside, and I remember the movie. It was Cutthroat Island with Gina Davis. And we're standing outside, and I remember looking over at her, seeing her count her change, and I didn't want to embarrass her. I didn't want to say anything. So I was like, fuck it. And I rushed to the front, and I was like, I need tickets for 7 people. I just paid for everybody because I didn't want to embarrass her, dude. And that moment came back to me with this guy. I was like, he deserves to be treated like a fucking human being. I don't care why he got there. I don't care what happened.
Yeah.
I couldn't have walked away from it. I think that when you say that sort of thing, like, why do we care? It's because it's inside of us to do that, you know?
It is. It
So,
is. And I'm sitting here thinking and feeling. I'm feeling a lot actually from what you said. It's difficult to I guess come to terms that like how outside our realm or our reach in modern society has come to just care about people,
yeah.
you know, and care about and
Yeah.
and it's like what you said about I've had my mic muted for a while because the whole time you were telling that I was feeling I was feeling that whole overwhelming feeling about how it is to be cared about, like to
Mm-hmm.
be to given, as someone who has nothing, and you're giving something to like say, hey, let's go, you know, say this film or let's go,
Mm-hmm.
and people outside of our, it's I don't know. I'm it's difficult to to convey, I guess, the emotions because emotions are something that like what I was talking about earlier with the whole toxic
Mm-hmm.
masculinity and all that, but it's like it goes beyond that. It's beyond the whole, it comes back to the form of like we are human and we have emotions.
Yeah.
We have emotions and we feel when others do not have the when others do not have the I don't know.
Well, when others don't have the capacity to do that, when
Yeah.
when I get shocked when I will see people ask or act in cold and uncaring ways.
Yeah.
And the really
Yeah.
weird part about that is, and maybe this is to your point earlier, there'll be times, okay, yes, I actually can bring this back full circle to your point, which you got me thinking on. I will see the most asinine people in this world get ahead. I will see
Yeah.
people that are just cold hearted, cutthroat, moronic people rise to levels of wealth or prestige or influence, politically,
Yeah.
religiously, whatever. Doesn't really matter. But they influence so many other people. And when people see what they perceive to be success, they want to emulate it. And they're like, well, this guy's a complete idiot and an asshole. So why should I care?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's an avenue of either toxic masculinity or societal failing, take your pick, that is not addressed. The real crime in this is that the oversimplification of the problem will often lead to the problem becoming far more viral and far more painful to deal with in the long run,
Mm. Yeah.
you know. But I get it. I mean, yeah, I do get that, dude. I think this is one of the deepest fucking episodes we've ever done,
It really is.
and I love
And
it.
you know what? And that's what I mean. That's what I intend. Like I want to attack these types of emotions that that run rampant throughout our society, like
Mm-hmm.
and we don't we don't like accept not accept. We don't it's very difficult, and
Mm-hmm.
the point that that I'm trying to make, and I'm sitting here and I'm like having a difficult time because there's so much emotion built up inside,
Oh yeah, man.
and it's and I'm glad, I'm very proud of the the growth that I've shown throughout the past several years,
Yeah.
in my recovery, that I say, um, that it's there's been, I will say, like, in the past, it was very easy. It was very easy to dismiss the things that I didn't believe in or
Yeah.
understand. It was very easy. It was very easy to just like say, well, these people believe in whatever they want to believe, but I believe in this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was easy to accept
Mm-hmm.
what I had already had accepted as my reality. My reality.
Yeah.
This is it's my reality, but my reality is not the reality.
Right.
You
Right.
know, my belief system, such as, what others I know believe in, or my friends, or my family, or whatever, they believe a certain set of bound interests or realities. Like, that's what they believe in, but it is not the reality.
Yeah.
The reality is what we accept. And
Yeah.
the acceptance comes from understanding and listening to all of us, all people around us in different venues of life, whether it's like the LGBTQ, like all the different, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
all every reality, it's like what we think we believe in is not real.
Mm-hmm.
It's not real. It's what, you know, we need to pay attention and, I don't know. I'm fucked up. I, I'm just gonna. I'll throw that out there. Okay, I'm fucked up. I drank too much tonight, folks. I love you all. I love everyone who's listening to this podcast. I love Mario, who's been throwing his inputs in
Yes.
and getting me to these points, and my wife Rachel, who has just broken the cages that I was like holding my subconscious into. Like, I was just bound inside of these like weird realities that I had dreamt up, and it's like they don't exist, folks. Like, you gotta break out, listen
Mm-hmm.
to people, listen.
Yeah, we'll often be the very first ones to build walls around ourselves, whether it's through protection, whether it's through distance or whatever. But, you know, there's many times we can be our own worst enemies.
Yeah,
Man.
absolutely.
Yeah, this has been crazy. This has given me a lot to think about for sure. I really
Man,
do.
I'm like,
Go
I
ahead.
got like a bunch of snot dripping over.
That's emotion, man. Let it out.
Emotion.
Remember the guy with the tattoo? I've already been here. I know how this goes. I know how this ends. Oh my
Man,
god.
I can't thank you enough, man. Like,
Oh, same,
this
buddy.
has been I mean, I'm sure there's other like podcasts where like some hosts are like, I'm just gonna get fucked up and like play out like whatever happens, and people just have to deal with it. But I I have to come out and say like I love being I love doing the show.
Yeah,
Like
dude.
I love having the people that I have had on so far, and Mario, man, you bring out the best of me, so I
Ah.
appreciate that.
Well, dude, you're very welcome. There's a lot. I mean, I can say the exact same thing. There's a comfort in, like I said earlier, there's definitely a lot there that I appreciate. You definitely allow me to have feedback and a good conversation every single time we've done this. So yeah, that's a fucking blast every time, anytime, dude.
Yeah, man. So like, okay, so when I first started this, I was like, hey, let's do something crazy. Let's do something different. We're gonna talk about mass toxic masculinity. It's like that's what if you're listening to, if other people are listening to like Joe Rogan or whatever, and they're like, hey, there's all this crazy stuff going on. um we have a different perspective because we are the perspective. you know
I
I
I
think that's what it is.
I hope so,
we're,
because
we're
I would never want to be compared to Joe Rogan. I ever never. And I, like, it's crazy because there's parts. There's like a moment with Joe Rogan every once in a while. He'll have like a very lucid performance. I don't know if you
well,
go ahead.
he has great guests.
He does.
The guests that come on his show are
Yeah.
like a phenomenal.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Those people that come on are like in their field
Yeah.
of, they're great people.
Yeah. He had, I think the one that, and I'll admit occasionally I'll watch something from him. Because there was one that spoke about one of my personal heroes, Anthony Bourdain.
Oh yeah.
And I everything I write, my blog posts, how I do things, everything is based on what Anthony Bourdain did. So when he took his life, that was devastating to me. That's the
Mm.
second person I've looked up to in media that really just messed me up. But on that podcast, he had one of his friends, and I forget the fellow's name. I think he's a DJ or something, but he broke down on the episode because he was mad at Bourdain. Like, how dare you fucking be so selfish as to leave us behind? How dare you take your life? And I can't say that I've ever dealt with anyone that, in fact, I know for a fact, I don't personally know anyone that committed suicide that was close to me that affected me that way. So, I mean, for what it's worth, thankfully, I've
Well,
never endured that. But
you know me,
mhm.
you know me, and I've been down that road.
But you're still here.
I'm still here, but I've had people in my past that have done that.
Yeah, I'm so
And
sorry, dude.
it is you know it's difficult.
It is difficult. I
But
often think,
no, you're right. I mean, it's whenever I hear about things, and I know where you're coming from, like with Anthony Bourdain. When I heard first myself, when I first heard about Bourdain, I was like, oh my god, like
mm-hmm.
it's a difficult thing. Like, I mean, because he provided so much for all of us
Oh yeah,
to consume, the information he provided out, and all of us to consume the information that he provided to us. And that's a great thing.
it
I mean,
was. It was indeed. And I mean, even with him being gone, his legacy is still here. I mean, you can still watch Parts Unknown
Oh
and other
yeah,
things like
yeah, yeah,
that.
yeah, definitely.
But even watching him now, there's a sadness knowing that aspect has forever closed. There will never be a new episode. There will never be,
True,
you know.
true.
And I look at, I look at other
That
people that I admire that have been as well traveled as him, that are still around. And
yeah.
I think to myself, like, what else would Anthony Bourdain have brought us if he had managed to stick around? And
Mm.
even then, like the really crazy part when he died, I remember there weren't many, but there were a few dissenters that really came down on him, saying, "Well, yeah, only a beta male takes their life. Only like weird sort of
Uh,
toxic, angles on that." I'm like,
yeah, yeah.
nah, the dude had a lot of problems. I'm not saying I agreed with him taking his life. I'll never say that, but we don't really know what people go through, you know.
True, true.
So,
Um, the directly related to that, I will say that, and I'm gonna go ahead and dedicate this episode
mm-hmm.
right now to my friend Jason. Jason Nowlin. Nowlin. He was the busboy at Favazza's Italian restaurant, and me and him had a great relationship. I was a dishwasher at that um, same restaurant. Um, we had amazing adventures for several years until I we were roommates at one point and lived in the same household, and then I moved out of that household because of his issues that he was having,
Mm-hmm.
and then I lived in a different place, and then I had joined the military, and I went away for a long time. During that time, he took his own life. My friend Jason Nowlin, Knowlin, I think that was it. But we were great friends. We were great friends. Um, and Jason had a lot of hope for me when we were friends, and he was like, I can see a lot of great things for you in the future. Was something I think he said, and when I was in boot camp in Marine Corps, MCRD in San Diego, I had got a message from one of my drill instructors, and they said, "Follow me. We will. We have a message for you. So follow us." And I had walked and marched behind this drill instructor um, to across the parade deck,
Mm-hmm.
um, and along into a place I had never seen before because I was a young Marine, and we didn't look outside of wherever we were at the moment. And
Mm-hmm.
this guy had marched me into an office. And inside this office, it looked like a regular office, like an office made for like some kind of you know, like a like a librarian or something. There was like shelves in the area and stuff, and books on the shelves, and I was told to sit down on a chair, and I sat down on the chair, and I sat down, and I and then I was told to sit there, and then some guy in uniform come up and he sat down opposite of the desk that I was at, and he said, he's like, so are you? He told me what my name was, and he's like, you Matthew Smith, or do you know a Jason Nowlin? And I was like, yeah. He's like, well, I need to make a phone call for you. And I was like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And he made the phone call, and it was to a friend that I knew named John. And I was like, why the fuck are you trying to make me call this guy?
Right.
And he was like, this guy John says that your friend Jason had taken his own life.
Oh my God.
And I was like, well, let's see what John has to say. So I talked to John. I got a hold of John during that phone call,
Mm-hmm.
and he was like, John was like, hey, what are you doing? I was like, I'm in fucking boot camp for Marine Corps basic training. What do you think I'm doing? Like, I'm being trained how to be a Marine. I have to like fucking run all day and learn all these weird, crazy things. He was like, well, anyway, he's like, Jason, your friend, he's gone now.
Wow.
I was like, so what? I can't do anything. I'm in basic training. I'm at boot camp. I'm in San Diego, California, which is like 1,000,000 miles away from St. Louis, Missouri.
Mm-hmm.
I can't do shit, And my friend John Kramer at the time, he was like, I don't know, just thought you should know,
Yeah.
And he was like, I was like, okay. So I went through that entire time after I got off the phone with him. I was like, all right, well, thanks for letting me know. I'll see you in a few months, maybe, if I get out of here. Like, because I still had several months of training to go through before I got out of there, and it was like it's fucking crazy to think, like, because I was watching the Mandalorian episodes, and the time that Mandalorian, when he was taken into that like kind of prison captivity, and he was like forced to like sit in that thing. It's like, I know what that felt like. I know what the Mandalorian, when he was taken and he was like, or was the Mandalorian or the other guy? What? No, what was it? Anyway, I'm fucking it up. I'm sorry.
It's all good.
But if you're held in captivity for any point in time away from the rest of the real world, it's like, I know what that fucking feels like,
Yeah.
And my friend Jason, like I was telling about earlier, when I heard about that in boot camp, that he had taken his own life, like, that was motivation to me to get through what I was dealing with so I can get back to my friends in real life and be back with them. and feel what they've, you know. I don't know. It's a fucking crazy episode. Like I told when we were getting beginning, I was like, I'm fucking drunk, and I'm gonna bring Mario in on this, and he's gonna be like, what the fuck's going on? But I love you, man.
Same.
You are helping me to get through this, and it's just oh my god, I appreciate it. I appreciate everybody out here listening to stuff, and
I can't wait to hear what everyone thinks. Like I really, I think people will enjoy it. I think people will be kind of surprised too. So definitely. So should we call it quits at this point? We've been going for a little while now.
Oh, you should. Yeah, you're right.
I think so.
Yeah. So the thing when we started was like, okay, let's do something different.
Yeah.
That's beyond the point. We have done something different. The thing you were talking about, I want to point out, or the thing we were both talking about, the toxic masculinity in our society today. There's people out there that don't realize what it is. And I told you about an anime that I watched called the Higehiro. After being rejected, I shaved and took in a high school reject.
Correct.
Or a high school runaway. I think everybody should watch that.
It sounds pretty bizarre and pretty fascinating.
It is bizarre because the character in it, the male character, is outstanding because of the fact that he goes outside of the boundaries of what you and I, or what the main toxic masculinity, like other people think about as whatever. Like they will look at this and be like, oh, okay.
Right.
This guy is actually a good guy. And he admits at one point that he's like not actually a good guy. And that's the point when we realize that we are not really as good as we think we are. We're not as good as we think we are. And this guy, he goes out there and he helps this poor girl, and everything turns out okay.
Yeah.
On a rare occasion, you know.
Right.
So it's a rare occasion that things turn out okay, but yeah, it does sometimes.
It does indeed, yeah.
All right. Well, I'll edit this in the back end and like take all the stuff you were talking about earlier and I'll highlight that.
Dude, I think it's really pretty good. Like I think there's very little editing you should do because it is probably one of the most honest and open ones we've ever done. Like seriously. So
I feel like a drunken. You know, I have pointed out so many times lately how people have said the R word, R, like retard, you know, that word. And I'm like, I don't subscribe to that. Like, you know, because one of my bros, one of my guys that I was like, I had trained, one of the guys that came in after whatever in the Marine Corps, his brother was on the spectrum and had whatever, and he was like, I don't use that word.
Yeah.
That R word. And this was back in the fucking 90s. You know, I was like, really?
Yeah.
Because I used to say the R word all the fucking time.
Oh, yeah, I did too.
To whatever. You know, I didn't care.
No.
You know, it was just like, oh, are you R? You know, and it was just whatever. And it was, but it was like that guy, he told me, he's like, no, my brother, you know, whatever. And he taught me. He taught me, and he taught me to feel.
Yeah.
You know, he was like, my brother, he's on a spectrum. He was on like different, it was different wording back then, you know, because in the 90s. But like, I was like, oh man, you know, that does.
Yeah.
It makes sense. It makes sense. And you feel this way because of this. And I shouldn't use that word, you know?
Right.
Because it's, and I'm like, because I care.
Yeah.
I shouldn't use that word because I care about you. I care about like these other people who have family that are different, whatever. It's like, it's just not, it doesn't make sense to have a word to whatever, you know, like it doesn't make sense to have a word to clarify a certain type of person.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, it's like that person is different than us.
Yep.
And that's all that matters.
Yeah, that's all it really is. That is very true.
Yeah. And we do what we can to care about that person.
Yeah. No, it's true. It is true.
Damn, this has been a long episode. Okay, I'm sorry, man.
It's all good.
On.
It's been all good, dude.
This is what happens when I get drunk. I to be honest, I needed this. I needed something because, like, for the past like several months or whatever, like I've had few episodes before this, but like I needed to connect.
That's all good, dude.
And get my words out.
Yeah.
And I appreciate it.
You're very welcome, man. Anytime, you know that.
Thank you, man.
Yep.
All right, let's go ahead and let's see. All right, hey, damn it. Where's the buttons? I can't even see what's on my screen. Hey, Mario, where can we find you on social media and all that stuff?
Sure. Well, you can always find me you can find information about me on my website, theartisanrogue.com. I am on all social media for now or until the government decides to shut it down. From, let's see here, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and maybe in the coming months, if I can get my shit together, Twitch as well too, but we'll see how that goes. But yeah, otherwise you can find me everywhere.
Was there a link there? Did you give me like somewhere to link to?
The Artisan Rogue. Yes, theartisanrogue.com, or you can search for just Artisan Rogue on Google and you'll find me.
The Artisan Rogue. All right, folks. Hey, if you've stuck on, oh my god, I don't believe anybody has listened to this point, but thank you so much for watching. Or god damn it. Okay.
If you ever release the video version of this, it's going to be a fucking trip, dude. It really will be.
It will be. Oh, I'm gonna save it because I'm a data hoarder.
Yeah, please do.
I save every bit of data, and video and
This is an episode.
audio.
This is
and
an episode
everything.
I want a copy of. Like this was one of the greatest things I think I've ever been a part of. Like seriously.
Look at Matt. He's crazy. He's like so drunk, but like he points out all these magnificent things that
Yes.
have to do with the toxic masculinity and etc. etc.
Yes.
Hey folks, this is Matt, Wormhole Matt. I want to explicitly apologize one more time for that. So if you've listened to this whole episode, thank you so much. I doubt that will ever happen again. I hope that it won't. But Jesus fucking Christ, that was crazy. Just listening back to it, I'm like, holy shit, like, am I really going to release this? But again, thank you. If you did listen to all of it, go visit Mario Mora's website and all his links and stuff, and check him out. He's a wonderful person, and I really, really appreciate his friendship. I appreciate everyone who listens and who's given me any insight over the course of time. So yeah, I just had to add a brief extra note at the end of this, because after listening through and editing this whole episode, and I'm just like, holy shit. It's not a normal thing. Sometimes I have a beer or two during recording, but that's just to loosen up and feel good. And you know, I get to my plot points and all that. But yeah, oh my God, this was just totally off the wall. But I wanted you all to hear it. I wanted it to be honest. And yeah, so thanks for bearing with me. And I really appreciate all of you who listen and tune in. I can't thank you enough. And let's hope that doesn't happen again. So look forward to more episodes. The next episode after this is a real treat. And I kind of talk a little bit more about this episode you just listened to, and make some good points with our good friend Frankie. So check that out next. It's a great episode, and I swear I am not drunk in that episode. I don't even think I drank that time. Like, I have to remember, but I don't know. I don't think so. But yeah, okay. Thank you. Stay tuned for the next episode. I'm going to try to get these out as fast as possible, and try to get back onto a regular schedule, but we will see how that goes, because with all of my crazy ailments or things, you know, you just never know what's going to happen. But we shall see. I thank you for hanging in there and for supporting this podcast. Yeah. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate you all. Until next time.